where we think he should be.
He's looked good so far.
Starting the season with a shutout and 2 wins.
Yeah, he's looked very good. Oh, that behind-the-back save with the glove? Unreal.
So legendary. So that's a big thing that boosts your confidence at the beginning of a season, starting with some epic saves and a shutout. Obviously, when you have a team rostered like the Pittsburgh Penguins have playing in front of you, you have a little bit more advantage in the save percentage category, but obviously Pittsburgh is going to be an excellent contender, and Fleury, I think
if he plays to his potential,
to say pressure doesn't bother me, because the World Juniors we've seen him crumble, some playoffs we've seen him crumble. Obviously that amazing save in Detroit to win the Cup stands out, but since then just kind of felt the pressure too much. So getting just past his prime now, or just into the last couple of years of it, time to show up and say, look, pressure doesn't bother me, let's win another championship.
Yeah, I mean, Fleury's one of those guys that when he's on his game, he's incredible. Like, he's got the skill, everyone knows that. He's a lot like Luongo in some ways. His biggest enemy is himself. Like, he gets down on himself, he lets in one bad goal, and then all of a sudden it's this mental battle, this uphill mental battle for Fleury. So, I mean, if he's able to wrestle his inner demons and re-find his form from a few years ago, Pittsburgh not only now has an incredible offense and incredible defense, they got one of the best goaltenders in the world, if he chooses to be so. So, I think Pittsburgh is going to have a very good year, and I expect them to be Cup finalists again, like they seem to be every year. They're going to have a great season. And Crosby looks out of this world, and I mean, barring any...
It's a big statement when you can say that you have a player on your team that, if he plays 60, 65 games, he'll still win the scoring title.
Yeah, I mean, barring any injuries, and knock on wood, of course, that doesn't happen, Crosby is still the best player in the world. I mean, he's so far above his competition. Nobody can touch the guy when he's on his game. I mean, if he doesn't get injured, I would expect him to be 50 points over the second place point getter in the league. That's how good this guy is. So because of Crosby, expect the Penguins to have a very good year. Moving along, we got the Carolina Hurricanes in second place at 1-0-1. I am not sure what to make of this team. I don't know if I see them making the playoffs, but then again, though, they got a decent roster. They got Semin, they got Solsty, they got the Stahl brothers. Skinner's a year older, and he's going to get better. Cam Ward is always great in net. So
Semin.
Yeah, I said Semin. Yeah, Semin.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they got a good roster. I don't know if they're a shoo-in to be a playoff contender, but in theory, if all of their guys play to their full potential, then yeah, I would expect them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think looking through the division, it's definitely going to be.
It is a weaker division
a little
too.
Bit of a mix-up, but it is a weaker division. Pittsburgh's going to dominate it, and after that, it's a bunch of question marks, especially with New Jersey losing Parise,
Kovalchuk
a while ago. So, and Kovalchuk being signed in the KHL, they really are limited on offense. And you keep going down, and teams are different and weak in that division. So, I give Carolina a good shot, especially if Cam Ward can play like the year he did. They won the Stanley Cup. You got a solid team there.
It's a good point. I mean, because the division has so many question marks, Carolina could definitely use that to their advantage. So, and obviously they have a pretty good roster. So, I mean, if their guys play to their capabilities, yeah, I think there is a good shot. Without guaranteeing you, I think there is a good shot. That division is still hard to make any guarantees in other than Pittsburgh, though, because you look at who's in last place, Philly and New York. Just like last year, the Rangers and Philly both have the abilities to be playoff contenders. So, I mean, if they find their form, all of a sudden Carolina's struggling. So Carolina has to just take advantage of the fact right now that a bunch of the stronger teams in their division are underperforming and hopefully use that to boost them into a playoff spot. Third place, you got the New York Islanders. They're 1-0-1. I expect them to roll along from last year. They're a year older, probably the best young team in the league, and I'm including the Edmonton Oilers in that. I think the Islanders have an incredibly good team considering their age. John Tavares, I expect to have another great year. He's one of the top 5 players in the world right now in my mind, and I think
I agree completely with John Tavares being one of the best. And
because of that, I think the Islanders make it. I say the Islanders make the playoffs because of that.
Yeah, hopefully he can lead them to that kind of glory, but I was going to say the same with Carolina as well. I don't think any of the teams from here on out that we're going to talk about in this division
they're not locks.
Going to go deep into playoffs, whether they make them or not, because they don't have the physicality. Yeah. And New York Islanders especially, they're young, and they don't play the nitty-gritty game. They stay away from it completely. And so getting through the regular season, playing a lot of games against their own division, that might get them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think once you hit the postseason, you're going to look for them to struggle right off the bat. So I think they're one of the top 3 teams in that division. But other than that,
Yeah, no, they're definitely not a lock to go deep, just like Carolina. I totally agree with you there. I think they'll be pretty much. I'm pretty confident to say they'll make the playoffs, but this division is harder to call. There are no real solid locks. Although I will say, and as much as it pains me to say this, Grabner looks terrific right now. I'm still so choked he's not in a Canucks uniform anymore. I was so mad when we got rid of him 4 years ago or whatever it was now. But Grabner looks great. Nabokov looks very good, very solid so far. So, I mean, I expect him to have another good year. But really, it's all about Tavares. And I think Tavares will solidify them in a playoff spot. But like you said, I wouldn't expect them to go deep. Next, you got the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're 4th place, 1-1-0. I'm not sure what I feel about this team. If Bobrovsky plays like he did last year, then
that's all it's about.
Yeah. I mean, it's all up to him, really. If he plays like he did last year, probably they'll make the playoffs, but I can't guarantee it. I think there still is an outside chance that they do miss it.
Gaborik is really the only offensive weapon that team has, and as we've seen before, his moves can get kind of stale and predictable for defensemen. So
very injury prone as well.
It's got to be Bobrovsky. It's got to be the defense. It's got to be low goals against. It's the only way.
Yeah, I agree. So they're definitely not a lock, but they look like they could be. It's surprising that these guys are in 5th place considering how well Ovechkin's played, but the Washington Capitals are 1-2-0. Ovechkin looks probably...
the scoring title champion?
This is probably the best he's looked in about 4 years. Like, he looks like he is...
He picks up where he left off at the end of last season.
Yes.
He had an incredible last few months leading up to the playoffs, being completely out of contention for the scoring race, and then coming in and being second or winning it. Just incredible. So I think he kind of took that as I can be valuable to my team again. Let's do this. Let's go. And I actually look for them to be quite strong. Hopi is a great goaltender. I think he's very underrated in that division. I'd look for him to stand out as well. I'd say actually Washington has probably got the same chance as Carolina or the Islanders. They're one of the better teams in this division, excluding the Penguins.
Yeah, I would expect from the 2nd place all the way down to 8th place, I expect these teams to move up and down the charts a lot this year. I don't expect Washington to stay as low as 5th place. Sorry, I agree with you. They'll have a good year. I think they're more likely to make the playoffs than some of the other teams in the division, largely due to Ovechkin. The guy is just playing like a man possessed right now. He looks absolutely outstanding. And when you have that supreme talent on your team, regardless of how lacking in depth you are in other areas, I think Ovechkin, much like Tavares on the Islanders, Ovechkin is good enough that he could propel his team into a playoff spot. So I think I give them the nod, and I think they'll be making the playoffs this year. 6th place, you got the New Jersey Devils. We got to say this as a Canucks fan. Obviously, me and everyone else in the world was very surprised when they got Schneider from the Canucks, especially since he's not going to be a starter like he was hoping to be. He's still going to be playing behind Brodeur, who many believe this will be Brodeur's last year. Schneider obviously is going to be their star for years to come. He's an incredible goalie. New Jersey probably has the best 1-2 goaltending tandem in the league right now. I mean, they have 2 incredible goaltenders playing for them. But I don't think that matters. I still think New Jersey misses the playoffs. The Kovalchuk thing was a huge blow to them. They were not prepared for that. They were not expecting him to retire, well, quote-unquote retire, and retire his ass to the KHL. They did not see that coming. When they dealt Parise, they thought Kovalchuk would be their guy. Now he's not. He's gone. New Jersey's got no depth. They got Henrique. That's pretty much it. They got no depth at all. They got no scoring. Their defense questionable. The only thing New Jersey has at all is incredible goaltending, but I don't see New Jersey making the playoffs at all.
Yeah, I agree. They're washed up, done. It's time to rebuild.
Aren't we depressing?
Well, come on now. We've looked at this team as a defensive strategy trap team who refused to adapt when the lockout happened.
Time to rebuild, trade Schneider!
Sorry?
I said time to rebuild, trade Schneider!
Yeah, trade Schneider or build around him.
That was a joke. Obviously, they won't do that.
Well, no kidding. But, I mean, seriously, he is a player you can build around, and there's not a lot of goalies in the NHL you can say that about. That's a big pickup for them, and a great place to start. Brodeur can pass the torch, and they need to do it.
Yep. The Rangers are 7th place right now, 0-1-0. Alain Vigneault has not had a good start with his new team, which I'm sorry to see because I obviously really liked AV a lot, and I'm sad to see him go. I mean, I felt it was time for him to go as a Canucks fan, but I was sad to see him go. The Rangers, again, just like last year, are totally underperforming right now. They got a great team on paper. They should be playing a lot better than they are, especially it's
the syndrome of that team, of that city, ever since they won the Cup. way back when. They've tried to buy and now, trying to do the young thing, and they don't have just the right combo or just the right chemistry or whatever it is. But
you got Lundqvist, you got Nash, you got Richards. Like you think they should be able to pull it together.
I know, but
an amazing defensive corps.
You say Nash, and he's really untested. I mean, he gets to shine in a city like Columbus that was, the Blue Jackets being in last every year, and same with Richards. I mean, an overpriced free agent. That's really what he is.
But then
there's a lot of talent there, but at the same time, he's not your star guy.
But Justin, look at your top 4 defense on that team: McDonough, Girardi, Stahl, Del Zotto. These are 4 of the best young defensemen in the league, and they're all playing.
I completely agree with you.
So what's going on?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. They're cursed. They got this thing going on where they can't get the chemistry down there. These players don't work well together. They all want to be the hero. Nash wants to be the hero. Richards wants to be the hero. It's just it's
not gelling. Could it be a new coach?
You got to play the team game, and I think that Vigneault is not disciplined enough to do it. And I think that Tortorella's message was old. So maybe I don't know what you need in that city, but a kick in the butt.
Well, maybe it's just they haven't bought into AV's system yet, or maybe they just are still adapting to it. Like maybe after October, give them a month and they might be ready to go, Well,
it's too early to say that based on the season is where I'm coming out with this, but based on the rosters that they were and based on the previous season, I think that, and based on Nell and Vigneault, I don't think this combination works. I like Tortorella in Vancouver. I think the reason he didn't work in New York is because his message gets stale kind of pretty quick when you're that aggressive of a coach, but I honestly, Vigneault, I think, has kind of lost his edge as opposed to when he joined the Canucks.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really not sure what the Rangers are going to do this year. Obviously, with the talent that they have, I mean, especially the young guys like Kreider and Stepan. Stepan was awesome. It was great that they signed Stepan because, in my opinion,
I want to be surprised.
Stepan was one of those guys that, he's going to be a very good player for a long time. So it was good that they locked him up. At least for a couple more years, anyways. I want to be. I mean, I want the Rangers to make it. I still think, obviously, they have the talent where they can make it. If they really find their form, they could be right up there with Pittsburgh as one of the best teams in that division, but they got to find their form. 8th place now, another team which we're still not figuring out. We still haven't been able to figure out why they're doing so poorly. You got the Philadelphia Flyers, 0-3-0. Granted, they have no goaltending to speak of right now. Their goaltending's quite weak. Still, though, there's enough talent on the Flyers that
when you say Lecavalier and Giroux in the same sentence, let alone the same roster, come on,
yeah, they should be
a goal-scoring production here.
Look at your top 4 centermen: Giroux, Lecavalier, Shen, Couturier. How are you not playing better? Voracek, Simmons, Hartnell. This is a very talented roster. One of the most talented the Flyers have had since the Lindros era. How are they in last place? Is it really all to do with the goaltending? I mean, Emery and Mason aren't exactly a great 1-2 punch, but there's enough talent on that team. They should be doing far better than last place.
Yeah, I agree completely. Obviously, it's a little bit early, but they are 0-3, which is kind of scary. I think they will get the ball rolling. I give them better odds than the New York Rangers, but definitely an underperforming roster as of right now. I mean, 3 goals for in 3 games with, as the offensive talent you mentioned, unacceptable pretty much at this level. You got to take advantage of every game, and they just haven't done that.
Yep, totally. We are already 43 minutes in, so what I
was going to say, Andy, what I think we should do is maybe talk about some news from the week and do our preview as a 2-parter. I think that it'll only be 2 weeks in, and we can hit the Central and the Pacific after that. But, there was some exciting stuff in the NHL this week as well that I'd like to cover without, drowning everybody out in a 2-hour show. What do you think?
I agree with you. That's every Sunday night is what we're thinking of doing here. So let's do part 2 next Sunday. That sounds good to me. What do you want to talk about?
Well, number 1, Patrick Waugh. I just looked at a poll on TSN.
That was amazing, by the way.
It was spectacular. So for those of you who don't know, Patrick Waugh, the new head coach of the Colorado Avalanche, a major change for them. They had a huge opening. I don't know if you watched the beginning of that game, Andy, but a huge, a hilarious, cheesy, we've changed our philosophy.
No, I didn't see it.
Back the champions. They talked about Tanguay on the lineup, Foote in the management office, Waugh on the bench. So that was
Sakic.
Yeah, exactly, right?
He's not on the ice, but he's in the press box. Wave. Hello.
But I think that the mentality is really at the players right now. I think it's a little bit early that they played amazing in that game, but Patrick Waugh has brought the energy. And what Patrick Waugh did for those of you who didn't see it, and anybody who's a hockey fan, I would be shocked if you didn't, got